Uh, like I was born by my real parents, but they put me up for adoption. I was adopted by other people, and we lived in the middle of nowhere in like a forest. Ever told you that dream?
No, you haven't.
Well, we lived in the middle of nowhere. It was like a forest, and basically,
I got
I
sniped.
swear to God,
So I was
have.
opening my bottle of water. I got sniped.
Where they? Oh my God, what's going on, JoJo? Yo, what the? Yo, what's going on, bro? This is where I go. Dude, how is this guy so good? How is he so good?
Okay.
Anyways.
My
Like,
lip is
hit me
bleeding
for,
for
like,
some reason.
Like he was really good. Anyways. So yeah, I was born into that family, and I told him one time, they told me I was adopted. We lived in the middle of nowhere, like a forest. And I said, hey, I want to go see my biological parents. And they said, okay. And it was my mom and dad, my real mom and dad. And my dad was a coach, but they lived in the town that I used to go to before I lived in Louisiana. So like I knew the entire town, and my dad was a like track coach, and we did a. Oh my God, I remember this so vividly. We did a race, and it was with my like three of my close friends from Texas. We all raced each other, and my dad was the coach. And basically, there was my dad like made a technique to like make us run faster. Basically, you had to eat so much, lie down, and then get up as fast as you could. And like the dizziness would cause you to throw up everything you had just eaten. You would run faster. So we did that, but everybody threw up except me. So I lost the race because I was still full.
Yeah.
And then after that, my dad was like, "It's okay," and we went inside the car and we started driving somewhere. And I'm like, "Where are we going?" And then I started like realizing, like, the scenery around me was extremely familiar. We were going back to my adopted parents. So I saw the woods and everything that I lived in, and we were completely isolated. It was just a house in the middle of the woods, right?
Yeah.
And I had a brother, like a brother who I grew up with, but he wasn't my real brother, obviously. But I just grew up with him, and he threatened to run away from home. So because we were isolated and in the middle of nowhere, if you wouldn't find him, because there was forests surrounding us like by thousands of miles. It was really big. So I threatened to break his arm if he didn't get back inside. So I grabbed his arm and I positioned it to where it was over me, and if I just like pulled it down, it would have broke.
Yeah.
But he had fragile bones. So doing that, I broke his arm. And his arm like fell off. I don't know why, but it like fell off. I'm not even making any of this up. I've told many people this, so you can ask if you don't believe me.
No,
it fell off. It fell off, and I was freaking out. I was freaking out. I was like, I was about to start crying, and then like my four parents, they came inside and they started like yelling at me, right? Like, oh, you did that to your brother, and you knew he had fragile bones. I'm like, I'm sorry. And then, like, turns out the parents that adopted me were like bad, so they started throwing rocks at him. And since his bones were fragile, my brother.
How'd they start throwing rocks at him, but they were yelling at you?
Yeah, it was just an act, because they were bad.
Oh, wait. What was an act?
Them yelling at me. They had like they were bad. They weren't good parents. So they started throwing rocks at my brother, And basically, it was so weird. Like, I can't really explain it that well,
There's a
but
dude
I
right here.
felt...
Look at this guy.
I felt like,
Hey, right here, Victor. Right here. I got him.
Nice. I felt like my soul had been taken out of my body, right?
Why?
And like I don't know. Like I was in the corner with my head like ducked, and my soul had been like taken out of my body. So my body was in the corner and I was crying, but my soul was like in front of my brother, like tanking all the hits, basically.
So you're telling me that you were in the your physical form was in the back of the this corner of this room crying, but your soul was in front of your brother taking all the rock hits.
Yeah, but since it was a soul, he was still getting hurt.
Oh.
So like that was happening, and basically since his bones were really fragile in the dream, he like couldn't withstand it, and his limbs were like falling apart as they were throwing the rocks at him. So his limbs were falling apart and everything. And this is gonna sound so weird. I don't know why my mom and dad told me to do this, but after they had like taken away my adoptive parents and like put them away, I don't know what they did with them. They just took them away, and they came back and they said, "Grab your brother," and it was basically just his torso. It was his torso and head. That's all that was left of him.
He was a nugget.
And yeah, basically. So they said, grab your brother and put him, don't even ask why, dude. Grab your brother and wrap him around in blankets. I'm like, oh, to stop the bleeding. And then they said, and put him in the washer and start the washer. So,
oh my god.
I did what they told me. I put him inside the washer. And they said put him inside the washer and start the washer while we look for the keys to take him to the hospital. I said okay, and I did it. And they found the keys. This is gonna sound even dumber. They found the keys, and when I opened the washer, all that was left was a cup. And it was basically two cups, and both the cups were.
Both the cups were?
Like facing each other to where there was no opening, right?
Yeah.
And they were taped like shut, so nothing could get inside. And it was my brother's heart was inside the cup.
That's my.
So
loot,
after
Victor,
he got
okay.
washed, like since his bones couldn't handle the pressure of the washer, all that was left was a heart. And I don't know how the heart I don't know how it got inside a cup, but
Do you have any shotgun?
that's basically what happened. And so I got the cup and I went inside the car and we were on our way to the hospital, and like the moment I touched the cup from opening the washer and grabbing it, there was this loud like heartbeat, like one single heartbeat. It was like and it like made my whole entire like dream like shake like an earthquake. And then the heartbeat like progressively like got silenter, like
More silent? Like it got
yeah,
quieter?
yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It got quieter. And the moment the heart stopped beating, I woke up.
Really? It's a weird dream.